McEwen Mining und McEwen Copper und keinen geringeren als Rob McEwen, zusammen mit Michael Medding. And this will be a presentation not in Bavarian, but in English.
Sorry about that.
So we have got 5 minutes more for this presentation.
All right.
Rob McEwen.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. McEwen Mining is a company that's listed on the New York and Toronto Stock Exchange. My personal investment in the two companies, my cost is $225 million. I own 16% of the company. I take $1 a year in a salary. We have 53 million shares outstanding. You can see on the pie chart, 54% is retail, institutional at 30. And our holdings are on the right, our shareholders. We suffered a fall in our share price between 2018 and 22. We said we were going to produce X amount of gold, and we produced a lot less than that. And so our share price fell out of the sky the way it should when you don't deliver on guidance. And it's been rebounding since then. And today, well, as of yesterday, we were up 208% since September of 22. 7 times what the Dow and the price of copper have done, 3.5 times gold or the NASDAQ, and 2.5 times silver and the JDX and the JDXJ. We have several parts to the company. I'm going to talk first about our copper project that we separated from the company in 2021. We started, I put 40 million in on an $80 million raise, and since then we've raised over 450 million for advancing our copper project. So McEwen Mining has 3 parts to it. It owns 46% of the copper project called McEwen Copper. It has a royalty portfolio of 5 royalties. They're not performing at the moment. The biggest one in there is 1.25% on our copper project, which would yield over $400 million over the next 27 years. And then 3 gold and silver mines located in Canada, the United States, and Argentina. We are also reactivating a mine in Mexico, which is gold and silver. You can see the distribution of our assets through the Americas. And I'm going now to talk about the copper because it's our largest asset, and I think will have, in the near term, the biggest impact on the company. So it's located at the bottom of the screen. You see an orange shape. The location of our mine is in San Juan province in Argentina. It's right on the spine of the Andes, and it's a very prolific area for copper. Peru and Chile together produce 40% of the world's annual copper production. And we're right in that area, and there are a number of large deposits nearby. It's 5.7 billion pounds, or billion tons, containing a total of 37.6 billion pounds of copper. It is considered the 8th largest undeveloped copper deposit in the world, and if you were to take out those properties that are controlled by the major mining companies, it would be the 4th largest. So at a time when everybody's looking for copper, it's an attractive asset. Ownership is, here you can see McEwen Mining 46, Stellantis, the 4th largest car manufacturer in the world, owns 18%. Rio Tinto, the 2nd largest mining company in the world, owns 17%. I'm just under 13, and then some individuals owning another 5. Some benchmarks, we're at the top of a lot of things on life of mine, length of mine, total resources, initial capex is high but a short payback, capital intensity is low, and we're it's a low-cost operation, or at least it's projected to be that. We put out a preliminary economic assessment in June of last year, and that envisioned a 27-year life, a low strip ratio, but big points, producing gold at $1.07 a pound, or copper at $1.07 a pound, and all in at $1.64 a pound, with 2.7 billion NPV. We did some additional work on the copper recoveries. It increased the recovery rate and lifted the NPV to $2.9 billion and dropped the cost to $1.02 a pound. Right now, copper is at about $4.30, so you're looking at better than a 75% gross margin. So, attractive project there. Producing 400 million pounds of copper a year. Now, I grew up in the gold industry, and so I like to convert other metals to a gold equivalent to get a sense of its scale. So if I take the gold price divided by the copper price, I come up with a product that tells me how many pounds of copper equals the value of an ounce of gold. And so when you do that, you have a gold equivalent resource of 59 million ounces at the cost of just under $650 an ounce cash, and all in sustaining at $1,000 cash, and producing more than 650,000 ounces of gold equivalent a year. In my book, that's a very big deposit. Long life, low cost, with a great margin. And to put it into perspective, I live in Canada, and one of the major mining districts in Canada is the Timmins district. And over the last 100 years, it's produced just a little more than what we have here in a resource. So to give you a sense of scale. This is a picture of, they've modeled the resource. The dark color is showing where we have the 27-year production, and the gray is showing an area that would go for another, well, probably another generation. We've been drilling at either end of it and finding the mineralization extends both to the north and the south, as well as going to depth. So there seems to be some room to expand. 3 kilometers away, we did some exploration and found another intrusive system that's hosting copper. It's very early stage, but it has a large signature, 5 kilometers by 2 kilometers, and we'll be in there drilling. But we found intrusives, copper alterations, copper veining, and the geophysical signature. One drill hole into it showed there's mineralization, and we're excited to get there. This project, as I said, is in Argentina, and Argentina was not a place many people thought they wanted to invest in, up until very recently. They have a new president, and he's enacted some legislation that is going to attract and has attracted large amounts of foreign capital. In this plan, he's allowed you to, for mining companies, to reduce the tax rate from 35% to 25%, to lift the foreign exchange controls, to reduce the dividend tax, and a number of other enhancements, including being able to settle the dispute that you have with the government in a court outside of Argentina, which is a huge plus. Put in a stability agreement. So quickly on the back of that legislation being passed, BHP, the world's largest miner, came in and dropped $4.4 billion on the table to do a deal with Lundin Mining and itself. And then in August, the United States went in and signed a memorandum of understanding to strengthen their cooperations between the two countries developing their critical minerals, copper being one of those critical minerals. So that deal that I mentioned about BHP, it It involved two properties in the same province as we're in Argentina. One is called Jose Maria and the other is Filo del Sol. So I just want to show you, we have some definite advantages over those two. In the upper left-hand corner, you can see an image that represents the province of San Juan. Jose Maria and Filo are at the top, on the border with Chile, which is on the left. And Los Azules is about halfway up the province. We are at a lower altitude than either of them. We're at 31 to 3,600 meters. Filo del Sol, the top end of it, is approaching base camp Everest. So that gives you real operating problems, both for people and machinery. Their resources, their combined resources, are less than ours. Our grade is higher, and we are closer to infrastructure, major power grids, highways. We are at an earlier stage of development in terms of studies. We have a preliminary economic assessment, and they are at feasibility and pre-feasibility. We will have a feasibility study out in the first half of next year. According to Goldman Sachs, we're in the bottom of the cost curve, and Jose Maria is in the highest quartile of the cost curve. We're valued right now, based on the financings we've done, at just under $1 billion, and that deal was at over $4 billion. So we think we have some room on the upside. I just want to show you, hopefully, a video of what we envision for this mine. It's very different, very environmentally sensitive, low water consumption compared to...
McEwen Copper is planning the world's first regenerative copper mine in Argentina. It goes without saying that we need to transform industry to provide us with the materials we need for a renewable society, but without the historic legacy of environmental damage. Copper is one resource that will only grow in importance as we replace fossil fuels with a decarbonized world. Electric cars, wind turbines, batteries, solar panels, and the computers that power everything all require copper. And that copper needs to be green copper, carbon neutral and ecologically responsible. When we started the project, we began by drafting a set of principles for the project that would guide the team in its decision-making and approach. We did this work informed by the place itself. The Andes are an incredibly beautiful and sensitive ecosystem, so we knew it was our duty to be stewards of this place, protecting habitat, glaciers, water, and life itself, while at the same time getting the copper resources that we need. So we've been thinking carefully about the future first and our eventual legacy. We then focused on the people, the miners, and the community itself. And we've been working to create a new kind of experience for people that live in San Juan and the surroundings. Over the life of mine, over 1,000 high-quality local jobs will be created. And these will be jobs unlike any others in the industry. We think people will covet working for McEwen Copper because not only do we focus on safety, but also on dignity and livability, creating a mining facility that is an oasis in the sky. Here is our vision for the mine camp of the future. Beautiful, inspiring, and bold. A biosphere of health and life. After a long day of work, our people will return to a place completely powered by the sun and creating ideal conditions for rest, sleep, recuperation, and the daily needs of miners. Imagine a place that grows its own food, collects and treats its own water, and generates energy without emissions on a giant solar super roof. We are placing specific emphasis on indoor air quality, acoustics, and stress reduction with a focus on social justice, equity, and even beauty within a mine setting. This will be a place to live and thrive while earning a living. We're designing an ecological water treatment valley that not only completely protects downstream water quality, but allows for the creation of new habitat and the enhancement of vegas. Partnerships with local universities and scientists will see new advances in natural phytoremediation, water treatment, and ecological testing to ensure that water is always pure and healthy. Our entire mine operation will be powered by on-site and off-site solar farms, generating all electricity without carbon emissions. Wherever possible, conveyors and fleet facilities will be electrified and plugged into this network of clean energy with batteries instead of diesel for backup generation. At Los Azules, we are not building a mill. Instead, we are advancing heat bleaching techniques to extract metals chemically and in a completely closed-loop process with radical reductions in energy and water requirements as a result. And finally, a state-of-the-art, renewably powered electrowinning facility will produce pure copper, so that from the pit to the product, our investors and customers know that sustainability informed every single step, and they can count on that for their own ESG goal setting. Our planning process continues, and we look forward to sharing more innovations as we develop this amazing project further. At McEwen Copper, we are striving to deliver the world's greenest supply of copper in the world's first regenerative copper mine.
So, just to sum that up, this will be powered 100% by renewable energy, wind, solar, hydro. Our water consumption, a quarter of what a comparable size mine would be. Carbon emissions will start in the lowest decile for the industry, and we've committed to Stellantis will be carbon neutral by 2038. Production expected to be in late 29. We have a management team. Ralph introduced Michael Medding. He's at the back of the room. He speaks German. He is German. So if you have any questions and want to do that. Then there's a management team he's assembled. Stephan Spears is also at the back of the room, distributing information. So one quick comment. I grew up in the investment industry, spent 18 years there, controlled a Toronto Stock Exchange member firm, corporate banking, research, sales, and managing portfolios. Stepped out of that, and myself and the team built Goldcorp. We went from 50 million to 8 billion market cap. I stepped away from that, thinking I couldn't grow the company as quickly at that size, and said, well, let's do it with this company. And I think this copper project is going to be bigger than Goldcorp. Thank you.